The vibration cuts through the static hum of the trauma bay like a nerve firing wrong. I'm halfway through stabilizing a head injury when my phone starts buzzing against my hip. It's the tone I never ignore, the one reserved for home. Maya? I answer, tugging off a blood-streaked glove with my teeth. Her voice comes through small and shaking. Mom, my key doesn't work. Rain hammers the ER windows. I press the phone closer. What do you mean? I tried it 3 times. It won't turn. I'm outside and it's pouring. Oscar won't stop meowing and Grandma's not answering. The air around me contracts. I picture her, 12 years old, clutching the cat carrier, backpack soaked, standing in the Charleston rain. Go to the side porch, baby. Stay under cover. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I rip off my gown, ignoring the surprised look from a resident. Family emergency, I mutter, already moving. The streets shine black under the downpour. Palmetto fronds thrash against streetlights as I speed through half-flooded intersections. When I turn onto Folly Road, lightning briefly sketches our house, white clapboard, shutters painted navy. Home. Or it was. Maya's silhouette huddles beneath the porch overhang, hair plastered to her face, the cat carrier at her feet. I kill the engine, run through the rain. I'm here, honey. I fold her against me. She's shaking so hard I feel it through my soaked scrubs. Why doesn't my key work? Let's see. I try mine. The metal slides in but won't turn. Curtains shift inside. Someone's there. Mom? Maya whispers. The door opens. My mother, Evelyn Hale, stands framed in lamplight, a wineglass cradled like a prop. Her silver bob is immaculate. Behind her, my half-sister Claire leans against the entryway wall, holding her own glass. Well, Evelyn says smoothly, you got here faster than I expected. Why are the locks changed? Her eyes, gray and hard, don't flinch. Because this is my house, Nora, and I've decided you and Maya don't live here anymore.
For a second, the words don't make sense. The sentence feels like someone else's nightmare bleeding into mine. What? My voice fractures. I've been paying the mortgage, taking care of this place. Claire smirks. Your stuff's on the curb. What's left of it anyway. I follow her gesture. Cardboard boxes collapse under the rain, spilling clothes and books onto the sodden lawn. My nursing manuals, Dad's journals, Maya's science fair board. Ink running like blood work. Maya's lip trembles. Grandma, why? Evelyn's face softens for show. Your mother needs to learn boundaries, darling. She's been confused about ownership. Something cold and electric threads through me. After everything I did for Dad. Evelyn cuts me off. Don't start this tonight. The cat lets out a miserable cry, as if echoing the protest I can't voice. I stare at her. The woman who gave me life, whose approval I've chased like oxygen. All I see now is resentment, coiled and deliberate. Understood, I say finally. Calm, measured. The way I talk to combative patients before sedation. Claire blinks, expecting hysterics. I take Maya's hand instead. Come on, sweetheart. We gather what we can salvage, drenched photos, warped notebooks, the box labeled Dad's letters. Rain beads along my forearms as I stack them into the trunk. Evelyn calls out over the storm, Your father spoiled you. This was always my house. I turn once more toward the porch. We'll be at the Harbor Inn on James Island. Forward our mail. Her laughter cuts through the rain, brittle as glass. Don't expect charity when you come crawling back. Maya tugs my sleeve. But Grandpa's books. We'll get them, I whisper. Just not tonight. When I slide behind the wheel, water dripping from my hair onto the seat, I catch a glimpse of my mother in the rearview mirror. She stands perfectly still under the porch light, face composed, eyes sharp. Claire refills her wineglass behind her, hand unsteady. As I pull away, wipers beating time against the storm, the truth hits like a clean incision. This isn't just betrayal, it's surgery. Painful, precise, and irreversible. Beside me, Maya sniffles, cradling Oscar's carrier. The rain turns the windshield into a blur of light and motion. "Mom," she whispers, "where are we going?" "Someplace dry," I say, tightening my grip on the wheel. "Someplace ours." The storm swallows the rest. The Harbor Inn sign flickers like it's breathing with the storm. The night clerk slides over a keycard and a stack of forms that smear under our damp hands. The carpet smells faintly of bleach and old coffee. Inside the room, I set the thermostat to dry heat and line the counter with what's left of our lives. Maya peels off her soaked sweatshirt and drapes it over the lampshade for warmth. Oscar crawls from his carrier and disappears under the desk, a thin orange shadow humming with nerves. I tip the carrier, coaxing. "It's okay, buddy." His eyes glow from the dark like twin embers. We make islands out of ruined boxes. The one labeled kitchen holds exactly 3 dry items: a can opener, a wooden spoon from my first apartment, and the chipped blue mug Dad used for tea. I hold the mug to my chest longer than I mean to. Then I start an inventory. What we have, what we lost, what we need by morning. Maya perches cross-legged on the bed, knees knobby under a hotel towel. Do we call the police on Grandma? We call someone better first. I scroll to a contact I haven't used in months. Samuel Ortiz, Esquire. Dad made me add the number the day he started chemo. In case. The line rings 4 times. I expect voicemail. Instead, a crisp voice. "Ortiz and Wade."
This is Nora Hale, I say, keeping my voice steady. "I need to speak to Mr. Ortiz tonight." "Ma'am, he's out of the office, but tell him it's about Dr. Alan Hale's estate. My mother changed the locks and put my daughter and me on the curb." A beat of silence. "Hold, please." I watch Maya's face while tinny music fills the room. She hugs a pillow to her chest and studies me the way she watches heart monitors when she visits the ER, counting the space between beats. "Nora?" Samuel's voice arrives warm, breathless, as if he's walking and talking at once. "Tell me everything." I give him the triage version. Rain, locks, boxes, witnesses. No adjectives, just vital signs. "That's not possible," he says, then corrects himself. "It's illegal. Nora, your father moved the house into the Hale Family Trust 6 months ago. Beneficiaries, you and Maya. We executed the transfer with clear capacity. I have the filings, the recordings, the witnesses." The carpet pitches like a boat. I sit before the floor can pull away. What? He never told me." "He asked me not to until it was necessary," Samuel says gently. "There's a sealed letter for you in my office. He anticipated resistance." Maya leans toward the phone, whispering, "Grandpa protected us?" I put the call on speaker. "What do we do now?" "Tonight, document everything. Photos of the boxes, timestamps, any messages you've received. Tomorrow morning, come in at 9. We'll file for emergency possession and a temporary restraining order if needed. I'll alert the sheriff's civil unit to stand by. Nora, you're not powerless. You're the owner." The word lands with a low, steady thud. Owner. "Thank you," I say. And it isn't big enough. After the call, I open the motel notepad and start a list. 1. Photos of damage and curb. 2. Neighbor statements. 3. Work schedules aligned with Dad's care calendar. 4. Maya's birth certificate. Original. I underline the last one. It sits in the filing cabinet in Dad's study, 3rd drawer, left side, because I put it there. The thought makes my throat go tight. Maya slides off the bed and sits beside the desk, whispering to the dark. Oscar noses out, pausing at the room's border like he's checking for traps. She holds her hands still until he chooses us. He curls into her lap, a trembling comma, and exhales. "You okay?" I ask. She nods without looking up. "Grandma said you were confused about ownership." She strokes Oscar's back, slow and careful. "But Grandpa said the house would keep us safe.
He kept his promise, I say. Saying it helps me believe it. I take pictures, the warped spines of my nursing texts, the photo of Dad and me at Shem Creek that's turned into watercolor, the cardboard that collapsed into pulp. The images look like evidence because they are. Maya yawns, sudden and huge. Can we sleep with the TV on? The silence is loud. We can. I pull the blanket up to her chin. The channel glows with a late-night fishing show. Men in slickers laughing in rain that isn't ours. I sit on the edge of the other bed with the blue mug in my lap and Dad's voice in my head. Plan the work, work the plan. On my phone, messages accumulate. 2 from Aunt Lila, 3 from unknown church numbers, 1 from Claire. You brought this on yourself. I don't answer. I file and screenshot and timestamp instead. I set my alarm for 6:15. We'll need food, dry clothes, copies, a charger for my dying patients. I write another list. What to say, what not to say. Being right isn't enough. Being precise is survival. Maya's breathing evens into the rhythm I used to count when she was small. Oscar's purr vibrates against the mattress frame. Outside, the storm finally tires itself out and turns to a steady, rinsing rain. I wash the blue mug and leave it to dry on a folded washcloth, a small ceremony against chaos. In the mirror, my eyes look like my father's, tired, stubborn, awake. Owner. The word fits in my mouth like a vow. I turn out the lamp. The motel fluorescents keep a thin line of light under the door, as if the world is promising it'll still be here in the morning. Morning on Meeting Street smells like salt and diesel. Charleston wakes early, church bells arguing with the seagulls. Maya and I sit in the lobby of Ortiz and Wade, our backpacks at our feet, the cat carrier wedged between us like a fragile secret. Samuel Ortiz appears exactly on time. Gray suit, rolled-up sleeves, a lawyer who still believes in paper. He leads us into a conference room lined with heavy books and framed certificates. On the table, a single white envelope waits, my name written in my father's meticulous block print. Nora. Samuel slides it toward me. He left instructions to deliver this only if there was conflict. I turn the envelope over twice before breaking the seal. Inside, Dad's handwriting slants a little from the chemo tremor. If you're reading this, your mother has done what I feared. I left the house in trust for you and Maya because I wanted my care to mean something lasting. Don't let guilt disguise itself as duty. Protect your peace. It's what I couldn't do. The words tilt the room. For months I thought I was the disobedient one, moving back home, trying to keep everyone alive. But he knew. He planned around her. Maya leans close. He wrote that for you? For us. Samuel opens a file folder. The trust is airtight. Your father signed it in front of 2 witnesses, both present in this building. I'll file an emergency possession petition and a temporary injunction today. The clerk owes me a favor. He outlines the next steps. Notarized affidavits, supporting documentation, a sheriff's service. I take notes like I'm on call. Dates, times, dosage of justice. And the letter? I ask. Keep it. It's evidence, but it's also permission. He gathers his files. You'll need to document the property's condition. Photos, timestamps, any indication of damage or removal of assets. We'll subpoena security footage from the street cameras. And Nora, don't confront them. Let the law do the talking. I nod, though my hands itch to fix, to mediate, to do something physical. That instinct kept me alive in emergency rooms and killed me at home. When we leave the office, the sun is a pale smear over the harbor. Maya tugs my hand. Can we see the house? Just drive by? Quickly. We park across the street. The shutters are open now, curtains fluttering like pale lungs. Through the living room window I see movement, Claire pacing, phone in hand. A moving truck idles at the curb, tailgate yawning open. They're redecorating already, Maya murmurs. I lift my phone, zoom, click. Every frame another stitch in the record. A man in work boots carries out Dad's armchair, the one that still smells faintly of his aftershave and antiseptic wipes. The sight burns like alcohol on a wound. Maya whispers, "Grandpa's chair." I know. A curtain twitches. Claire spots us. Her expression twists into something between surprise and disdain. I lower the phone and start the engine before she can come outside. At the stoplight, Maya asks, "Does this mean we can't go home?" "Not yet," I tell her. "But it means they can't keep us out forever." Back at the motel, I upload the photos to a shared drive Samuel created, label each one with the date and time. I forward him copies of my pay stubs, utility payments, and Dad's medical schedules, proof that I lived there, cared there, existed there. When I finish, I open Dad's letter again. The last line reads, "If she locks you out, it's because she's afraid of what you've learned to live without. Her approval." I fold the page carefully and slide it into a plastic sleeve. Evidence, permission, prophecy. Maya crawls onto the bed beside me. "Grandpa always said you were the brave one." "Brave is just what's left after scared runs out," I say. She nods solemnly, as if memorizing it. Outside, the air hums with humidity and sirens in the distance. I draft tomorrow's to-do list. Affidavit signatures, property inspection request, a visit to Dad's clinic to retrieve witness statements. Each task another suture in a wound that has to close. When I finally turn off the lamp, the motel hum feels almost like hospital white noise. Steady, constant, keeping panic at bay. Dad prepared the instruments. Now it's my surgery to finish. By sunrise, the motel coffee tastes like burnt hope, but it's the only thing keeping me upright. The day stretches ahead, a 12-hour shift followed by paperwork and calls. I press my badge to the hospital scanner and step into the humming brightness of Charleston General. The automatic doors seal behind me with a sigh. Familiar sounds, monitors, the hush of rolling carts settle my pulse. Here, protocols work. People follow charts. Chaos has rules. "Rough night?" Dr. Priya Desai asks, catching sight of my rain-swollen shoes. She's all sharp angles and calm eyes, the kind of attending who notices everything and judges nothing. "Family drama," I say. "Long story." "Then tell the short one," she says, handing me fresh scrubs. "My mother locked me and Maya out. Lawyers are involved." Priya's expression tightens. "You want a character reference? You've got one." I almost laugh. "It's that obvious?" She lowers her voice. "The whole floor heard about your dad's trust. Claire's been calling the admin office asking for his files. Someone's stirring things." I blink. How would she? Word travels fast when people want it to. The rumor has already escaped the house and infected the hospital. That's the first small inconsistency I'll have to guard against. The narrative in public can change faster than any chart update. Between traumas, I check my phone. 3 missed calls from unknown numbers. 1 voicemail full of heavy breathing, and a text from Claire. "You're embarrassing yourself." I forward everything to Samuel's secure drive, time-stamped. At lunch, I sit in the courtyard with a turkey sandwich that tastes like paper. Priya joins me, sliding over a folded envelope. "Statement of conduct," she says, "signed by the Chief of Staff. It confirms you handled your father's end-of-life care appropriately." I tuck it into my bag. "You're saving me hours of testimony." She smiles faintly. "You'd do the same for me." After work, I drive to Maya's school. The hallways smell of crayons and disinfectant. Ms. Hart greets me with tired eyes and a stack of printouts. "Maya told me what happened," she says quietly. "I want to help. I kept notes. Dr. Hale attended every science fair. I can sign an affidavit." I blink back sudden tears. "Thank you." "Also," Ms. Hart adds, glancing around, "another parent asked if everything was stable at home. I thought you should know.
Rumors are circulating through the PTA.
So the gossip has metastasized from hospital corridors to school pickup lines. Evelyn's social web, church ladies, charity boards, neighbors who love a scandal, has started to spin. When we get back to the motel, Maya's watching cartoons too loud, trying to drown the world. I lower the volume. Hey, want to see something good? I show her the letter from Ms. Hart and Priya's statement. Proof that truth travels too, I say. She grins, a small flicker of confidence. Grandma's stories won't win, right? Not if we keep telling ours carefully. I spend the next hour compiling a timeline on my laptop. Dad's treatment dates, my shift logs, receipts, all cross-referenced. Each line item becomes a stitch closing a wound that someone else keeps reopening. Around 9, Samuel calls.
The clerk accepted our emergency filing,
He says.
Hearing's set for next week. In the meantime, Evelyn's attorney submitted a motion claiming you're mentally unstable from grief.
I let the silence stretch until it hurts. She's creative,
Documentation beats creativity,
he says.
Send me your colleagues' and teachers' statements tonight. I'll attach them.
When the call ends, I upload every PDF and double-check each timestamp. No contradictions, no loose ends. Maya curls beside me under the scratchy motel blanket. Mom, she murmurs, half asleep. You said Grandpa's house is ours. Does that mean we're going home soon? Yes, I whisper, soon. But this time we'll lock the door from the inside. She drifts off, smiling.
I sit there, watching the glow of the parking lot lights filter through the thin curtains. Outside, the city hums with quiet gossip. But inside this room, the narrative is mine again. Filed, notarized, documented, and slowly turning into evidence strong enough to stand. By mid-morning, the sky is a flat Charleston blue that looks painted on. I drive to First Coast Bank because Samuel says credibility isn't just legal, it's financial paper that doesn't blink. The lobby smells like lemon polish and new money. The manager, Mr. Whitaker, greets me with a handshake that lingers a second too long on sympathy. Ms. Hale, Mr. Ortiz called ahead. He leads me to a glass-walled office and clicks through records. Yes, Hale Family Trust recorded 6 months ago. Grantor, Dr. Alan Hale. Trustees, designated per instrument. Beneficiaries, you and your daughter Maya. The words line up like steady vitals. He prints confirmations, stamps them with the bank seal, and offers a small, practical mercy. Until possession is restored, we can extend a temporary line of credit secured against trust equity. Bridge the legal gap. Bridge the gap. It's what I've been doing since the storm. I sign where he points, initial where he taps. He slides me a slim folder, balances, terms, a card with a direct line. I'm sorry for your loss, he says, and for once it isn't performative. Outside, gulls pencil loops over the harbor. I text Samuel photos of the stamped documents. He replies in seconds. Perfect. Affidavits at 2 p.m. Bring IDs. At a red light, my phone rings. Aunt Lila. I brace for the type of family conversation that wears a mother's face and a knife's intent. But Lila's voice is tight with something else, anger threaded with apology. Your mother has been saying for months that once your father passed, she'd reclaim her life, she says. At Christmas, she told me she was going to reset the house the way it should have always been. I thought it was grief talking. I was wrong. I let her speak. Sometimes the truth needs to run until it tires itself out. And Claire, Lila continues, she posted your father's medical equipment on Marketplace last night. I took screenshots before she could delete them. A beat. I'm sending them. Do what you need to. I can testify. I exhale. Something like gratitude and mourning braided together. Thank you for calling, Lila. I should have called sooner, she says.
and hangs up before the apology can spill into old history. The screenshots arrive: the hospital bed, the oxygen concentrator, the rolling tray we used for pill schedules, captioned with cheerful lies about gently used and must pick up. Timestamped. Traceable. I forward them to Samuel and tag them asset diversion. By 2, I'm in his conference room again, sunlight knifing through blinds onto a battlefield of forms. Samuel's tie is off, sleeves rolled. He reads at courtroom speed. We'll staple exhibits to your declaration: bank confirmation, screenshots, your shift logs aligned with your father's treatment calendar. He glances up. Ms. Hart's statement? Signed and scanned. I slide it over. And Dr. Desai's conduct letter. He grins without joy. You're building a better chart than half the lawyers I know. I've been charting my whole life, I say. And it's not a joke. We move like an ER team. No wasted movement, minimal words. He drafts witness lists: Priya, Ms. Hart, Aunt Lila, Chaplain Thomas for character and competency, 2 neighbors if we need corroboration about the lockout and the curb. He flags my photos from the moving truck in Chapter 3's drive-by as probative. The legal language feels cold in my mouth but solid under my feet. Last stop today, Samuel says, capping his pen, is optics. You don't engage, but you observe. Document without interaction. Where? I ask, already knowing.
St. Matthew's, Wednesday prayer hour. Charleston's church steps are their own newsrooms. I park across the street, keep my distance. It takes 4 minutes for Evelyn to appear. Black dress, perfect pearls, a grief uniform as polished as her stories. She greets congregants with hand squeezes and practiced tremors. Claire hovers a step behind, phone never leaving her palm. From the sidewalk shade, I film the choreography without sound. The hug that lasts just long enough, the hand to heart, the head tilt that says, "Pray for my wayward child." No confrontation, no scene. The camera captures what words can't. Intent performed for an audience. A woman from the parish touches Evelyn's elbow. Evelyn points toward the sky in a gesture that reads as faith to most people and strategy to me. I take stills. Time, date, angle. Evidence has to be boring to be useful. My phone buzzes. A text from Maya. How's the paperwork? I send a photo of the bank's embossed stamp and type, like armor, be home in 20. Home means the motel, for now, but the word stops scraping when I say it. Back at the Harbor Inn, Maya is painting her toenails a fierce coral on a towel laid over the carpet. Oscar watches the brush rise and fall, entranced. How was church? She asks, smirking. Loud, I say, in the quiet way. She nods like she understands exactly. I show her the list Samuel built, the witnesses stacked like sandbags against a flood. She traces the names with a finger. All these people, they saw us. They did. I sit beside her, and we'll keep finding the ones who did. I upload the day's haul to the drive, double-checking every file name and timestamp. No contradictions, no overlaps. Nothing that could snag us later. The folder looks like a skeleton beginning to hold its shape. Samuel's last text of the day pings. Strong work. Tomorrow, step-by-step retrieval of documents from the house. Only what's legally ours. I'll coordinate with the sheriff. I look at Maya. Tomorrow we ask for your birth certificate and Grandpa's medical files. On camera, she says, and lifts Oscar into her lap. By the book. By the book, I echo. The words feel like a promise big enough to live in. The morning air carries the sting of salt and law. Samuel meets us in front of the house with 2 deputies, their uniforms crisp against the coastal haze. His tone is brisk but steady. This isn't a confrontation, it's procedure. This is a scheduled retrieval under court authorization, he reminds me, handing over the document with the embossed seal. I double-check the order number and signatures. Everything matches the filing from yesterday's upload. No inconsistencies so far. Maya grips my hand tighter as we approach the porch. The same porch where we'd once carved pumpkins and drank cocoa after hurricane drills. Now it looks like a stage where the wrong script keeps being read. Evelyn opens the door before we knock, pearls gleaming, a smile that could slice glass. Claire lingers behind her, phone already recording. "Come to collect what you think is yours?" Evelyn asks. "No," I say evenly, handing her a copy of the order. "What's legally ours?" One deputy reads from the document, voice neutral. Retrieval of personal items belonging to Nora and Maya Hale, including medical records, legal papers, and personal effects. Evelyn waves a manicured hand. "Fine, but you're not stepping into my bedroom or study." Samuel doesn't blink. "We won't need to. The list specifies your late husband's study and Maya's room." I exhale slowly. Stay clinical, not emotional. That's what the ER taught me. Fix the bleed before the heart breaks. Inside, the house smells of lemon oil and something faintly floral. Evelyn's perfume masking the ghost of antiseptic wipes. The furniture's been rearranged. Dad's chair is gone, replaced by a glossy accent piece that doesn't belong to him or to memory. We move methodically. Maya gathers her sketchbooks and medals. I open drawers, locate the file folder marked Vital Records, and pull out her birth certificate and Dad's signed treatment directives. Each item goes into a labeled box, documented with timestamps on Samuel's tablet. Claire hovers like static electricity. "You should be ashamed, Nora. He wanted peace, not paperwork." Samuel glances at her. "He also wanted his will respected. There's peace in that." The deputies nod, silent witnesses to civility under tension. In Dad's study, I pause. The window still looks out on the marsh he loved, silver light over slow water. The shelves gape where his journals once stood. I find only one, the spine cracked, pages dog-eared and faintly damp. Inside, his handwriting trembles through the ink. Notes from the last month of his life, ending mid-sentence. I slip it carefully into a protective sleeve. "Found one of them," I whisper to Samuel. "Catalog it," he says. "We'll request the rest through the court if necessary." Maya appears in the doorway, holding Oscar's cat toy, a frayed feather wand. "Can I take this too?" Evelyn's voice cuts across the room. "Everything in this house is mine." The deputy steps forward. "Ma'am, the item is personal property belonging to the minor. It's included." For a heartbeat, Evelyn's mask cracks. The fury underneath is clean and cold. Then she turns away. "Do what you must." When we step back outside, the air tastes lighter. Samuel checks his notes. "All accounted for?" "Everything essential," I say. "The rest can rot with her perfume." He nods. Next step is filing the supplemental affidavit. Property retrieval completed without incident. Court dates locked for Tuesday. Judge Riley is fair but precise. Keep your timeline straight, and this goes fast. I can feel the fatigue pressing behind my eyes, but it's the clean kind, earned, contained. "No inconsistencies, then?" "None," he says. "Your documentation lines up perfectly with what we filed. Claire's video won't matter." Maya tugs my sleeve. "Mom, can we stop by the marsh before we go?" We drive down the old service road until it ends in water and reeds. The tide's coming in, gentle and inevitable. Maya steps out with Oscar tucked under her arm. "Grandpa said the marsh never loses," she says quietly. He was right. I take the retrieved journal from the box and flip it open. A pressed marsh grass blade rests between the last pages, its edges brittle but intact. Beneath it, his final line waits, half-finished but legible. "If she ever forgets why she fights, remind her, home is not a place. It's the people who refuse to leave her side." Maya leans against me, reading silently. "That's us, right?" she whispers. "That's us," I say. When we drive back toward town, the house disappears behind the curve of oaks, but I don't look in the mirror. We've retrieved what mattered most: proof, papers,
and the last words that still know our names. Charleston County Courthouse doesn't look like justice. It looks like humidity and nerves in beige paint. The air smells faintly of polish and old paper. Samuel walks beside me, tablet in hand, calm as anesthesia. Maya clutches my sleeve, trying to look brave in her school cardigan. Inside, Judge Riley's courtroom feels smaller than it should, the kind of space where truth has to fight for oxygen. A wooden placard reads Probate Division, Family Trust Hearing. "Stay grounded," Samuel murmurs. "Facts, not fury." "Facts I have plenty of," I whisper back. Evelyn and Claire sit at the respondents' table. Evelyn's pearl earrings gleam. Claire's phone sits screen down, recording God knows what. Their attorney, a polished man named Harland, shuffles papers with an easy smirk. The clerk calls our case. Samuel stands first, voice steady. Petitioner Nora Hale and minor beneficiary Maya Hale seek enforcement of the Hale Family Trust and return of unlawfully occupied property. He outlines the facts cleanly: dates, filings, exhibits. He mentions the sealed letter from Dad, the notarized trust, the sheriff-supervised retrieval in Chapter 6. Each reference aligns perfectly, no contradictions. Harland rises, tone smooth as varnish. "Your Honor, this is not a matter of law but of sentiment. My client, Mrs. Hale, acted out of confusion during bereavement. She believed she retained sole ownership as surviving spouse." Judge Riley nods but doesn't interrupt. Samuel lets him hang himself with politeness. When it's our turn for direct testimony, my pulse trips. I take the stand, right hand raised, promise to tell the truth. The one thing I've never stopped doing. Samuel prompts gently. "Ms. Hale, could you explain your role in your father's care during his final months?" I describe the medication logs, the nights on the floor by his bed, the transfer of title he insisted upon while lucid. I hold up the journal from Chapter 6, the brittle page with the marsh grass. "He left this for me," I say quietly. "He wanted peace, but he also wanted fairness." Harland objects, claiming sentimentality. The judge allows it. "Let her finish," she says. When I step down, Maya catches my hand and squeezes hard enough to leave crescents in my skin. Evelyn testifies next. She speaks with rehearsed grief, voice trembling on the right syllables. "Alan didn't understand what he was signing. He was weak, confused. Nora pressured him." Samuel's cross-examination slices cleanly. "Mrs. Hale, were you present at the signing?" "No." "So your statement about confusion is conjecture." She blinks. "A mother knows when her child manipulates." Samuel doesn't flinch. "And yet the witnesses, both physicians, swore Dr. Hale had full capacity." The courtroom breathes in unison. Claire shifts, restless, muttering something that earns her a glare from Harland. Then Samuel plays the last recording Dad ever made, the one he sent with the trust documents. His voice, thin but steady, fills the room. "If Nora's reading this, it means I've gone and Evelyn is fighting ghosts again. Let the law handle the property, so love can stay clean." Evelyn's composure falters. Claire's phone clatters to the table. Judge Riley studies the trust copy, compares signatures. "The evidence is clear," she says finally. "The property transfer was valid, the lockout unlawful. Possession is restored to the petitioner and minor beneficiary, effective immediately. Respondent is ordered to vacate within 72 hours. The gavel drops with a sound like a heart restarting. I sit very still. Samuel exhales, a soft sound of victory measured in professionalism. Maya squeezes my arm, whispering, "We can go home?" "Soon," I say, voice shaking for the first time. Harland gathers his papers, murmuring something about appeal. Evelyn doesn't move. She stares at me like she's seeing the cost of her own war for the first time. Outside, sunlight hits the marble steps like it's been waiting there all morning. Samuel shakes my hand. "You did everything right. Every timestamp, Every witness. Clean record. No inconsistencies, I ask automatically. None, he says. You closed every loop. Maya twirls on the courthouse landing, hair catching the light. Does this mean we win? I crouch beside her. It means we can start over. Across the square, church bells chime the hour. For the first time in months, they don't sound like warnings. They sound like welcome. I take Maya's hand, and together we walk down the courthouse steps, sunlight following us like proof. The key turns easier than I expect. No resistance, no grinding like that night in the storm. Just a clean click and a soft exhale from the door. The deputies already cleared the premises that morning. Procedure, Samuel said, but it still feels like walking into a ghost's open mouth. Maya stands behind me, Oscar tucked against her chest, both of them holding their breath. The house smells faintly of polish and lemon still, but under it is the hollow scent of disuse, like the air forgot to belong to anyone. Everything is technically in order. The furniture Evelyn didn't haul away sits slightly off-center, as if moved and never righted. Dad's bookshelves are stripped bare except for the one rescued journal. The wall where his photo hung shows a perfect rectangle of cleaner paint, a missing piece of light. Maya pads through the rooms, fingers tracing along door frames like a blind traveler remembering shapes. It's quiet, she whispers. It'll sound different when we breathe in it again, I tell her. Samuel had been clear before we left the courthouse. Document entry. Photograph everything. Don't rearrange until after the inventory report is filed. So we work silently. Camera flashes mapping absence. The living room, the study, the kitchen stripped of silverware and Dad's favorite mug. Even the curtains are gone. I log each missing item in the file app. Silver serving set, non-essential. Personal sentiment, high. Oil portrait, unknown location. Family albums, presumed removed. Maya kneels by the window and finds something small. A marble, pale blue, stuck in the corner. This was from the set Grandpa bought me when I got my tonsils out, she says. Then it's coming with us, I answer, bagging it carefully in a sandwich bag. We document it too. Even small things deserve acknowledgement. Upstairs, the emptiness feels heavier. My old bedroom is immaculate in a way that doesn't feel like cleaning. It feels like erasure. Evelyn replaced the bedding with something impersonal, hotel white. On the nightstand sits a single framed photo. Not of us, but of her and Claire at a gala, smiling with the kind of victory that has a half-life. Maya joins me, peering at the picture. Should we throw it out? Not yet, I say. We'll leave everything until Samuel finishes the property reconciliation. He says appearances matter. That line echoes my father's. Let the law handle the property so love can stay clean. We finish the walkthrough in the kitchen. The cabinets are empty except for one cup, shoved to the back. The blue mug, chipped, cracked, but here. I set it on the counter like an anchor, a remnant of proof that not everything gets erased, just rearranged. Outside, a moving van idles across the street, probably hired by Evelyn to collect what's left of her version of the truth. I make sure to photograph it, too. Maya runs a fingertip across the counter's worn edge. It feels smaller, she says. That's what happens when a house forgets who it belongs to, I say. We finish the formal inventory and send the file to Samuel. His reply comes minutes later. Perfect. The deputy confirmed vacant turnover. You're clear to reoccupy after tomorrow's inspection. Reoccupy. The word feels bureaucratic for what it means. Come home. That night, we don't stay. Not yet. The house needs cleansing, air and sound and time. So we return to the motel. One last night beneath humming fluorescence. Maya falls asleep quickly, exhaustion smoothing her brow. I sit awake with the blue mug on the table, filled this time with tea instead of anger. The taste is sharp and grounding. I check the photos again, frame by frame, each absence documented. No discrepancies between Chapter 7's court order and today's retrieval. Everything aligns. Nothing missing that the report didn't anticipate. The only inconsistency is the one no law can fix, how silence fills faster than furniture. When dawn leaks through the curtains, I text Samuel. Inspection scheduled. Utilities reactivated. We'll move in after clearance. He replies with a thumbs-up emoji. Uncharacteristic for him. Almost human. By late afternoon, I unlock the door again. The light slants through the windows differently this time, gentler. Dust floats like quiet confetti. Maya opens the back door and the marsh air rolls in, warm, wet, alive. She stands in the doorway, eyes wide. It smells like Grandpa again, she says. Then we're home, I answer. She sets Oscar's carrier down, unlatches the door, and the cat steps into the house like he never left. I breathe deeply, feeling the air settle in my lungs. There are forms to sign, inspections to file, witnesses to thank, but for the first time in months, the next step isn't about defense. It's about inhabiting space. The sound of the sea hums faintly through the walls, a low reminder that some tides come back no matter how far they drift. The first morning back inside feels like walking through a photograph that's still developing. Edges soft, colors uncertain. The inspectors cleared the house just after sunrise, signed off on utilities, and left the paperwork clipped to the door. Legally, it's ours again. Emotionally, it's a haunted anatomy lesson. Every organ intact, but missing its heartbeat. I make coffee in the blue mug, the one I left on the counter like a beacon in Chapter 8. The machine sputters like it resents the work. The smell of bitter roast fills the silence that used to be filled with Dad's radio static. Maya pads downstairs, still in her oversized hoodie, hair messy, eyes half awake. I heard footsteps last night, she says. Probably the floorboards, I tell her. They've been waiting to breathe again. She squints at me like she's not entirely convinced, then kneels to scratch Oscar's chin. The cat's tail flicks lazily, the only creature in this house completely unbothered by its ghosts. After breakfast, we start the slow work of reclaiming space. Samuel suggested a thorough inventory beyond what we filed for the court. A personal log, he called it, so you don't forget what feels different. He's right. Law restores ownership, not belonging. We move from room to room, writing what's gone and what's merely changed. Living room. Rug missing, couch repositioned. Faint outline of Dad's chair on hardwood. Water ring on side table, unknown origin. Study. Empty shelf marked with dust shadow of journals. Faint scent of antiseptic wipes. One loose drawer handle. Kitchen. 2 spoons, no forks. Unfamiliar casserole dish left behind. Blue mug accounted for. Maya records voice notes while I photograph. Her commentary is unfiltered, a child's anthropology of loss. Grandma took all the pretty plates but left the one with a crack. Maybe she thought broken things matched us. I glance at her, 12 going on timeless. Or maybe she didn't notice what still mattered. She shrugs. Then she never really lived here. We find more small artifacts as the day goes on. A bobby pin under the stairs. An old church bulletin tucked behind the coat rack. A faded grocery list in Evelyn's handwriting. Half crossed out, half unfinished. Maya tapes it to a notebook titled Ghost Inventory, her handwriting looping in neat defiance. Mid-afternoon brings visitors. Aunt Lila arrives with a plastic bin of rescued belongings. These were in my garage, she says. Your mom dropped them off months ago, said she was decluttering. Inside, Dad's framed diploma, a box of family photos and his stethoscope, coiled like a question mark. Maya lifts the stethoscope reverently. Can I keep it? Of course, I say. It still works. Try it. She presses the diaphragm to her chest, listening. It's loud. That's what a heartbeat sounds like when it knows it's still allowed to be here. Lila watches us, eyes shining. You've got your father's steadiness, she says. Your mother won't understand it until it's too late. I'm done waiting for her understanding, I reply quietly. After she leaves, we sit amid the boxes until the light fades. Maya opens the photo bin, Dad in the marsh, holding her as a toddler, both of them laughing. The photo has water stains, but the faces are intact. We should hang it back where it was, she says. Tomorrow, I tell her. Tonight, we rest. Before bed, I walk the perimeter of the house. Each room hums differently now. Less echo, more resonance. No inconsistencies between what the inspectors logged and what we found. Even the missing silverware matches the prior inventory. It's strange comfort, proof that the ghosts here are emotional, not procedural. I pause in Dad's study. The rescued journal rests on the desk, open to his unfinished line about home. I add one more sentence beneath it in my own handwriting. And when the door opens again, we walk through, whole, even if we're still healing. The ink bleeds slightly, merging with his. When I rejoin Maya upstairs, she's asleep under the new bedding we picked up from the market on King Street. Nothing like Evelyn's sterile whites, just soft cotton the color of calm. Oscar curls at her feet, purring like he's stitching the house back together. I check the locks one last time, not out of fear but ritual. The keys turn smooth. Ownership confirmed. Belonging restored. Outside, the marsh wind rises, whispering against the windows. It sounds less like loneliness tonight, more like breath returning to a body that had only been sleeping. The locksmith's van looks out of place in our driveway, bright decals against the quiet gray of the morning marsh. He works fast, a clatter of tiny tools and practiced clicks, while I stand with a clipboard and a checklist that's starting to feel like scripture. New cores, front and back, he says. Deadbolts rekeyed. Garage 2. Thank you, I answer, writing down the time, invoice number, and the last 4 digits of the key set. Evidence is a habit that no longer feels like fear. After he leaves, a security tech arrives to install cameras. 2 on the porch, 1 over the driveway, 1 in the hallway pointed toward the study. We test each feed from my phone. Motion alerts? He asks. Yes, I say, but quiet at night. I'm done being startled in my own home. Samuel calls as I sign the service agreement. Restraining order filed and granted. Temporary for now. I've emailed the order and notified their counsel. Good, I say, watching the hallway camera render our front door in cool grayscale. Any movement from Harland? A whisper about appeal, he says, but nothing with teeth. Your record is clean. Thank you. Take a breath today, he adds, softer. Let the house get used to you again. Maya appears on the porch with a seed packet and a trowel. Can we start the garden now? Front or back? Back, she says decisively. The sun's kinder there. We kneel in the soft earth behind the house. Maya presses marigold seeds into shallow furrows, measuring with the precision of someone who has learned how much care a life requires. I label popsicle sticks. Marigold, basil, cherry tomato. And it feels like I'm labeling something inside us, too. Safe, growing, returning. Inside, the quiet no longer sounds empty. It sounds like recovery. I open Dad's study windows and let salt air sweep through. On the desk, I lay out the documents we retrieved. Maya's birth certificate, the treatment directives, the 1 rescued journal. I add a new folder labeled Caretaker Resources, Draft, and slip in a blank pad. At noon, I walk to the hospital for a short meeting I scheduled before the storm turned into a season. Priya meets me in the cafeteria, her coffee already gone cold. Administration approved your promotion, she says without ceremony. Nursing supervisor, ER. Your record's exemplary, and the letters helped. For a moment, I can't find the right place for breath. I don't know if my life's big enough for that yet. Make it big enough, Priya says. You've been doing the work anyway. Now you'll be paid to set boundaries for other people, too. On the way out, a younger nurse I've seen on nights, Jessa, catches me near the elevators. She hesitates, then blurts, "My mother keeps taking my paycheck. Says I owe her for living there. I don't know what to do." I study her face, the haunted look I know too well. "Come by the house tomorrow," I tell her. "I'm building a packet for caregivers and for situations like yours. We'll go through options. It's not your job to be someone's savings account." Her shoulders drop, just a fraction. "Thank you." Back home, the cameras send a harmless alert, sunlight triggering a porch sensor. I silence it and set an automation. Lower sensitivity at dusk. Small controls stack into something like calm. Maya has sketched a map of the backyard on graph paper, each square a foot, each foot a future. This row is for the heat, she says, tapping a rectangle labeled peppers. This one's for calm. She points to lavender. This one's for Grandpa. She writes okra in block letters. I tape her plan to the fridge beside a printout of our rekey receipt and the restraining order. Garden and law. Growth and guardrails side by side. Then I sit at the kitchen table with my new folder and begin to outline the guide I wish I'd had. How to document care. How to ask for witness letters. How to retrieve records legally. How to say no without explaining. The last section makes my pen shake a little. I keep writing. A ping from Samuel. Utilities confirmed. Title office recorded the court order. All green. I reply with a photo of Maya's garden map. He sends back a single word. Perfect. Near sunset, Aunt Lila drops by with a casserole and a look that says she's testing the air. Smells like your father's study again, she says, standing in the doorway. Windows open, I answer. She nods at the cameras, the new locks. You look steadier. Steady isn't the same as hard, I say. I finally know the difference. Maya calls from the yard. Mom, can you help me string the twine? We anchor a trellis between two posts, our fingers quick and clumsy with excitement. Oscar prowls the fence line like a small orange sentinel, tail high. As dusk pulls a thin blue shawl over the marsh, I set the alarm with our new code, Maya's birthday in reverse, something only we would remember. The keypad chirps, the system hums, the house settles. Later, I make tea in the blue mug and carry it to the porch. The chimes we hung last summer shiver with a wind that smells like rain and river. I think of Dad's half-finished note, of Samuel's steady voice, of Priya's blunt grace, of Jessa's small, brave ask. Maya leans into my side, warm and certain. It feels like hours, she says. It is, I tell her, and it always will be. By the time August burns through the marsh grass, the house has learned how to breathe with us again. The walls no longer echo when I speak. They absorb. They remember. Every morning starts the same way. Tea in the blue mug, sunlight across the counter, the low murmur of the tide coming in. I write a little each day in the caretaker resources folder. Stories, instructions, warnings disguised as advice. The guide is growing, page by page, like the garden outside. Maya's marigolds are blooming, small explosions of gold that refuse to apologize for being bright. She's made a chart to track their height, complete with stickers. Scientific observation, she says, which makes me laugh because I used to call my own obsessive lists the same thing. Samuel drops by to review the property ledger. The final deed certification came through, he says, placing a folder on the table. You're the recorded title holder, uncontested. I flip through the pages, the embossed seal catching the light. Any appeal from her side? None, he says. Her counsel withdrew 2 weeks ago. She signed a withdrawal affidavit. That's the legal phrasing for gave up. The part of me that used to flinch at every knock still waits for backlash, but the silence has stayed steady. No letters, no lawyers, no more drama staged on courthouse steps. He scans the study camera feed briefly. You're keeping good records, and the garden looks incredible, he adds, nodding toward the window. Therapy, I say. The kind that doesn't charge by the hour. When he leaves, I hand Maya the final envelope to open. Dad's death certificate returned from the county registrar. It feels like the last official paper connecting grief to bureaucracy. Does this mean it's really over? She asks. Not over, I tell her. Just filed. That night, I host what Priya jokingly called an aftercare circle. 3 nurses, 1 social worker, and Jessa, the girl from the elevator. They sit in my living room with coffee and the smell of basil drifting in from the back door. We talk about care fatigue, about guilt, about the strange shame of surviving long enough to want joy again. Jessa keeps her hands in her lap until near the end. I moved out, she blurts, voice trembling. Yesterday. I left the house key on her dresser. The room goes quiet. Then I say, "You don't owe anyone permission to heal." She exhales, nodding, eyes glistening. It's weird. I thought the air would taste like fear. It just tastes new. We all laugh softly. I pour more coffee. The sound of cups on saucers feels like proof that lives can reassemble themselves quietly, without applause. After they leave, I tidy the kitchen. On the counter, the caretaker resources draft has grown to 80 pages. The final section is titled Inheritance of Air, Dad's phrase, the one he used when I was little and afraid of thunderstorms. We inherit the air, he'd say. We keep breathing even when it's hard. I glance at the wall clock, 9:47. Maya should be asleep, but I hear her voice from her room, soft and deliberate. I step closer. She's recording an audio journal for school. "Today we finished planting okra," she says into her phone. "Mom says it's the vegetable that forgives droughts. That means even when things go dry, they come back if you wait long enough." I pause in the doorway. She doesn't see me. She's wearing Dad's old stethoscope, the tubing looped twice around her neck like a necklace. She listens to her own heartbeat between sentences, smiling slightly.
When she finishes, she looks up. "Did you need something, Mom?" "No," I say. "Just listening." The word hangs there, both literal and something more. Later, after she sleeps, I step out onto the porch. The marsh hums with night sounds. Frogs, insects, the hush of distant tides. The security lights blink steady green, normal, not alerting. I set the mug beside the chimes and scroll through the camera feeds one last time. All quiet. For the first time, I turn off notifications before bed. Inside, the house smells faintly of basil and rain. I leave the windows cracked so the breeze can wander through. On the desk, the folder lies open, pages fluttering slightly in the airflow. I add one final note to the top page. Aftercare, the stage where healing stops pretending it's temporary. Then I turn off the lamp. The sound of the sea folds softly into the dark. No alarms, no footsteps, just air, and the certainty that it finally belongs to us. The first true autumn morning arrives with the scent of smoke from a neighbor's chimney and the soft rasp of leaves dragging along the walkway. The marsh looks silver instead of green, light shifting as if the world is rinsing itself clean. I wake before Maya. The house feels lighter these days, like it exhales when we do. In the kitchen, I make coffee in the blue mug and glance out at the garden. The marigolds are fading, but still proud. Basil gone to seed, lavender thriving. The okra plants tower over the fence, stubborn, fruitful, forgiving. On the counter lies the completed Caretaker Resources binder. 87 pages, tabbed and cross-referenced. Printed last night at the hospital before my shift ended. I plan to distribute copies through the staff network next week. When Maya comes down, she's wearing her school sweatshirt and Dad's stethoscope again. "Career day," she says, catching my smile. "I told them I want to be a pediatric nurse. Like you, but less paperwork." I laugh. "That's the dream, sweetheart." We eat breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, orange slices, and the conversation turns towards small things. Her essay on resilience, the new boy in class who draws comic panels in the margins of his homework, the cat's habit of sleeping inside the laundry basket. It's ordinary. Beautifully, deliberately ordinary. Later, Samuel stops by for one final visit. "Got your letter from the county," he says, handing me an envelope. "They approved your community partnership grant." I open it and read twice. "For the guide?" "For the guide," he confirms. "Funding for 10 printed sets. Distribution to local hospitals and legal aid offices. You're an author now, whether you like it or not." I shake my head, smiling. Feels strange to see my name on government paper for something good. "That's how you know you've closed the circle," he says. "You used the system without letting it use you." Before he leaves, he sets a small box on the counter. Inside, Dad's watch, newly cleaned, face glinting in the morning light. Property office found it during their audit, Samuel explains. Said you should have it. The second hand ticks softly, steady and sure. I fasten it around my wrist. That evening, Maya and I walk along the shoreline where the marsh meets the sea. The air smells like salt and memory. Do you think Grandpa would have liked how it turned out? She asks. He'd have argued about the garden layout, I say. Then he'd sit out here and tell you why marigolds are stubborn like his daughter. She grins. You mean you? I mean both of us. The sun slides down slow, gold dissolving into blue. The water mirrors the sky like it's taking notes. Back home, we find a package on the porch, Priya's handwriting on the label. Inside, a plaque engraved with Inheritance of Air, Community Care Initiative, and a short note. For the woman who reminded us that healing can be documented too. Maya hangs it by the front door without hesitation. Now it's official, she says. After dinner, I finish the final edits to the guide. The last section reads, Inheritance of Air. The moment you realize survival isn't the ending, it's the seed. What grows after depends on how gently you treat the soil you've reclaimed. I upload the file, send a copy to Priya and Samuel, then close the laptop. The act feels ceremonial. Maya curls on the couch with Oscar and a blanket patterned with tiny stars. Can we leave the windows open tonight? She asks. Of course. The night air drifts in, cool, salted, infinite. I turn off the lights one by one, each room dimming without dread. The security system hums quietly, but I don't bother checking the feed. Trust is the new ritual. In the study, Dad's journal lies open to the page where our handwriting meets. His unfinished thought and my completion. I add a final line beneath them both. And when the air moves again, it carries us forward. Outside, the wind picks up, slipping through the house like a blessing. For the first time, I let it in without fear. The storm season rolls in again. Not violent this time, just insistent. The kind that lingers over Charleston like an old friend reluctant to leave. I can smell rain before I hear it, the air thick with the promise of something cleansing. At the hospital, the emergency department buzzes with its usual rhythm, controlled chaos, fluorescent constellations flickering across faces that barely have time to breathe. My shift is halfway through when Priya stops by the nurse's station. Your community guide's making rounds, she says. 2 counties asked for digital copies. Legal aid's printing them next week. Already? I ask, genuinely stunned. I thought the approval would take months. Priya grins. Turns out the world's hungry for instructions on how to survive bureaucracy with your soul intact. She taps the folder under her arm. You've started something bigger than you know. When I step outside at the end of my shift, rain threads down the edges of the parking lot. The sky looks bruised but calm. I breathe it in. Wet concrete, salt, relief. At home, the porch light glows warm against the gray. Maya is waiting by the window, homework spread around her like a map of her mind. Guess what? She says before I can even close the door. Miss Porter said she used your guide to help her aunt file for guardianship. She said it saved her weeks. That's... wow, I say, hanging my coat. Maybe that's our version of inheritance, sharing what we learned. Maya nods, thoughtful. You always said inheritance isn't money. It's what doesn't disappear when people do. I smile. Exactly. She shows me a flyer she designed on her school tablet. Inheritance of Air Workshop, Community Wellness Fair. Beneath it, the date. Next Saturday. They're letting us host a booth, she says. You can bring your guides. I'll run the plant table. You're organizing? Coordinating, she says with exaggerated professionalism. That's what supervisors do. I laugh. You've been listening at work meetings again. That weekend, the rain clears. The fair sets up on the lawn outside the community center, tents snapping in the breeze. Our booth sits between a blood pressure screening table and a local artist selling watercolor postcards of the marsh. I stack the printed guides beside a bowl of okra pods from our garden. Maya decorates the table with marigolds,
their late blooms defying the season. People stop by steadily. Caregivers, nurses, neighbors, even a deputy who once served us court papers. He lingers, awkward at first, then takes a copy. "My sister's going through something similar," he says. "Didn't know where to start. Maybe this'll help." I hand him the folder with both hands. "It helped us," I say simply. By noon, the air hums with conversation and music. Children chase each other between booths, laughter echoing through the oak canopy. Maya's giving away basil sprigs labeled with words resilience, boundaries, care. I watch her explain plant care to a younger boy, her gestures confident, patient. The stethoscope still hangs around her neck, a symbol now, not an inheritance of grief but of purpose. Samuel arrives just as we're packing up. "Quite the turnout," he says, tucking his hands into his jacket pockets. "You've built a movement without meaning to." "It was never supposed to be big," I reply. "Just useful." "Useful things tend to grow," he says. "So do the people who make them." We share a quiet look. In another life, this might have been the moment I broke down, grateful and overwhelmed. Instead, it feels grounded, like tidewater finding its level. At dusk, Maya and I walk home, arms full of leftover plants. The streets gleam with puddles reflecting the amber sky. "Do you think Grandma will ever see this?" she asks suddenly. "Maybe," I say. "And maybe she'll understand that losing control doesn't mean losing family." She nods slowly. "Then that's enough." Back at the house, I hang the damp flyers on the fridge, right beside her garden plan. The air smells like earth and rain, familiar, forgiving. Later, as we sit on the porch, lightning flickers far out over the harbor, too distant to threaten. The wind shifts, carrying the briny scent of the ocean. Maya leans her head against my shoulder. "It feels like everything came back, but better," she says. "That's what return currents do," I tell her. "They don't bring the same water back, just the same rhythm." The chimes above us sing quietly. Oscar curls at our feet. The horizon glows faintly, the color of possibility. And for once, there's no more to fix, only to live. The storm stays offshore all afternoon, muscling gray across the horizon and grumbling like an argument it can't quite make landfall with. The marsh wind smells like brine and pepper. The house holds steady. After dinner, Maya sprawls on the rug with a sketchbook, drawing the community fair. Tents like sails, marigolds bright against rain-stained grass. Oscar bats a pencil cap across the floor, serious about his work. I wash the blue mug and set it to dry, hands moving on muscle memory while my mind circles the envelope on the hall table. It came this morning. Cream paper, my name in Evelyn's exacting hand. No return address. I didn't touch it before now. Boundaries work best when they're deliberate, not defensive. Maya looks up. "You going to read it?" "I am," I say, "and then I'm going to bed on time." She grins, knowing that's my way of saying the letter won't matter enough to steal sleep. She returns to her drawing. I take the envelope to Dad's study and close the door. The room smells faintly of paper and the salt air slipping through the cracked window. I sit at the desk where our 2 lines of handwriting meet in his journal and slide a letter opener under the flap. The paper unfolds with the soft sigh of old habits. "Nora, it begins. I've had time to reflect. You need to understand I did what I had to do. The house has always been my responsibility. Your father spoiled you. He blurred lines that needed keeping. If you had come to me sooner, we could have avoided spectacle. I'm willing to consider a compromise. You and the child may keep the downstairs if you promise not to." I stop and breathe. The sentences march in tidy, weaponized order. They carry no apology, only revision. She uses the child, not Maya. She calls evidence spectacle. She offers terms for a life that doesn't belong to her. I flip to the second page. "People are talking," she writes. "They say forgiveness is possible if you show humility. I could speak to Pastor Hill about appearances. Family must look unified. We can salvage this if you listen to me." The old trigger tries to spark, the reflex to make things easier, smoother, quieter. I let it surface. I watch it without moving toward it. Then I read to the end. There is no "I'm sorry." Only a postscript about a set of candlesticks she can't find. I place the letter beside Dad's journal. The thunder offshore rolls again, closer now, more theater than threat. In the hallway, I can hear Maya humming under her breath, the tune she uses when she's concentrating. The house keeps that sound like a small, important secret. I take out a blank sheet of paper. For a long time, I just hold the pen. There are answers I could send, curated, careful, all edges padded. There are also answers that are only for me. I write one sentence. I'm choosing peace without your permission. I don't sign it. I don't put it in an envelope. I slide it into the caretaker resources binder under a tab called Boundary Scripts. It belongs there, not at the post office. In Dad's journal, beneath our 2 lines, I add a third. Love that requires erasure is not love. I will not vanish to make room for it. The ink feathers slightly, the way it did on the day I wrote the last line. It looks right there, firm, plain, unadorned. I return to the living room. Maya has drawn us standing behind the booth at the fair, the plaque reading Inheritance of Air, shining brighter than any weather. She's given me a superhero cape, which I pretend not to notice. "How was the letter?" she asks without looking up. "Predictable," I say. "And done. Do we need to do anything?" "No," I answer. "We already did the important things." She nods, satisfied, and shades the marigold's deeper gold. The storm mutters again and moves on, rain folding into the ocean where it belongs. Before bed, I place Evelyn's letter in a file labeled Correspondence, Retained, and add a note. Read, no response warranted. It's not pettiness, it's hygiene. I check the doors, set the alarm, and turn off the hall light. The house breathes with me. In the quiet, I realize the old fear of the mailbox, what might be waiting there with my name on it, has gone. Mail is just paper again, not command. In the dark, Maya's door is half open. I stand long enough to hear the steady rhythm of her sleep. The stethoscope hangs from her bedpost, a circle inside a circle. Whole. I slide into my own bed as the first edge of rain finally skims the roof. Soft, almost shy, like the sky remembering how to be gentle. I let it say what it says. That storms don't have to arrive to be real. That we can witness them without inviting them in. Tomorrow there will be work and names on lists and groceries to buy, and a garden that wants staking before the next wind. There might be more letters someday. There might not. Either way, we know our lines now. They're not walls. They're the edges of home. I turn out the lamp and let the rain finish its sentence without me. The rain returns the way forgiveness does, slowly, then all at once. It starts as a hush on the marsh and gathers itself into something steady, a patient percussion on the porch roof. The air smells like wet rope and basil, a season bending back toward itself. Maya and I sit in the rockers with our mugs, hers cocoa, mine chamomile in the blue cup that has survived every version of this house. The chimes nudge a small song from the wind. Oscar patrols the rail, tail high, pretending he's an officer of weather. "It sounds like that first night," Maya says, eyes on the strings of water slipping off the eaves. "Same sound," I answer. "Different meaning." She leans against my shoulder. Her hair smells like rain and the lavender we planted by the steps. We count between lightning and thunder out of habit, though the storm is all light and no edge. Inside, the Inheritance of Air plaque catches a lampshade's glow. The caretaker resources binders wait in a neat stack by the door. 3 more deliveries for the clinic tomorrow. My promotion letter hangs beside Maya's garden map on the fridge. Both feel earned, not borrowed. We don't talk for a while. We don't need to. The house breathes the way a body does after a fever breaks. Cautious, relieved, alive. "Mom," Maya says finally, "do you think we'll ever move?" "Someday," I say. "For the right reasons. For the kind that expand, not escape." She nods like a person who knows the difference now. Okay. A car crawls past the house, tires whispering on wet pavement. I don't check the cameras. I don't even look. Not because I've grown careless, but because vigilance and fear are not the same thing. The system hums behind us, a soft, faithful note. Boundaries, not barricades. I've learned the choreography of peace. It's quieter than I expected, and more work than I wanted. Lists and locks and letters that don't get sent. It is also sweeter in ways I can't file. Basil steam when the lid comes off the pot. Maya's pencil scratching a future on graph paper. A cat deciding the world is safe enough for a nap. The rain thickens a shade. I set my mug down and go inside to fetch the stethoscope. Dad's, cleaned and coiled. The metal polished by a cloth and memory. When I place it in Maya's hands, her expression brightens the way the kitchen used to when he came home from late rounds.
Check the storm's heartbeat, I tease. She presses the diaphragm to the wood rail, grinning, then to her chest. It's fast, she says, but not scared. Sounds right, I say. My phone buzzes with a message from Jessa. Moved again, this time into a place with windows I picked. Your guide helped 3 more people this week. I send back a thumbs up and a line I keep for these moments. You did the hard part. I only named it. She replies with a photo of a window and rain. Across the room, Dad's journal lies open to the page where our 3 lines meet. His half-finished thought, my completion, the boundary I refuse to mail. The paper has softened at the edges from all the air we've let in. It feels less like an artifact and more like a living thing that breathes when the house does. Maya traces a raindrop's path down the screen door. I keep thinking about Grandpa's chair, she says. I miss it, but I don't miss the room it was in before. Does that make sense? It does, I say. Missing isn't the same as wanting back. Sometimes missing just means we carried it far enough to set it down. She thinks about that, a small crease forming between her eyebrows, then relaxes. We listen to the rain make a lacework of the yard. The okra stalks are done bearing for the season, but they stand tall, a green skeleton full of memory. The marigolds glow darker gold, defiant in their fading. A thin envelope sits on the hall table, county approval for the hospital to stock the guide. I'll take it in tomorrow between rounds and a staff meeting that, for once, won't erase my lunch. Priya will pretend not to be proud, then say, "You remembered to leave at 6?" And I'll pretend not to enjoy the bossiness. The wind shifts. The chimes, made from the medical alert tags we retired, answer with their soft, tinny hymn. I never thought I would love that sound. Now it is the sound of survival that didn't turn me into stone. Maya lifts the stethoscope to my chest. You, she says, lips quirked. Fast, but calm. Occupational hazard, I tell her. A thought moves through me and settles like a warm weight. I used to think strength meant being the last one still standing in the room where everything broke. Now I know it also means being the first one to walk out. Thunder rolls somewhere far inland, a rumor heading the other way. The rain settles into a tempo the porch and I both know how to keep. I pick up my mug. The steam fogs my glasses. When I wipe them with the hem of my sweatshirt, the world returns clearer than before. Maya squeezes my hand. This is home, she says. Not a question, not a wish, just a statement of weathered fact. It always was, I answer. We just had to lock it from the inside. We sit there until the storm softens into a suggestion of rain. The security light clicks on. The sign by the mailbox, "Hail, residents," gleams like a small lighthouse. The tide will come in and go out. Letters will arrive or won't. People will choose us or won't. The air will keep moving. Some storms wash things away. This one leaves what matters, us, the house, the rhythm we fought to keep, shining and rinsed and new. I close my eyes and let the rain finish its song. It's one we know by heart now. It's the sound of staying.